All right, today we're going to be finishing up our geometry packet with surface area, which is kind of a hard thing to talk about when I don't have a prism to hold in front of you. So you have this picture, okay, and that's the picture that I'm talking about. So we're visualizing a rectangular prism right in front of us. So this is a rectangular prism, which is our first question. Rectangular prism, and the reason it's a rectangular prism is because the base is a rectangle, okay? So I can highlight the base here, and we know that the base is a rectangle, okay? So that is what we refer to as the base. And the reason is the prism is because it has a parallel base. So this one is parallel and congruent to the bottom. So we have two bases. If it was a pyramid, it would only have one base. So that's how it gets its name. Okay, so now that we've talked about a base, I think we can go talk about lateral area. Lateral area is the sum of the areas of all of the lateral faces. Well, your lateral faces are all of your faces that are not a base. So all faces that are not a base. Okay, so I talked about the top and the bottom being the base, so all of the other sides are going to be your lateral faces. Surface area is finding the area of all faces. So anything that is an outside face to the prism or pyramid is considered part of the surface area. So finding the area of all sides or faces. So, okay. Let's take a look at what we need to do. These are kind of long and intensive, but I think we can figure it out. So this is what we call a net. Did you see the little picture that I made? I love nets. Okay, we're not talking about fishing nets. We're talking about a geometric net. So if I fold up my net, I will make this. So it's a net that corresponds with the solid that I was talking about earlier. Okay, to find the surface area, I need to find the area of all faces. So I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so instead of side, this should say face. That was a typo on my part, so let's change that to face to be a little bit more mathematically correct. Okay, so I have all my faces labeled. Now I need to find the area of each of those. So, all right, so here I see a whole bunch of rectangles. So face 1 is a 4 by 8. Okay, so to find the area of that rectangle, I just multiply those two numbers. So the area is centimeters squared. And in science, you learned that if I put my unit in the top, I don't have to rewrite it every time, right? So let's do that. All right, rectangle 2. I see an 8 here and a 6 on the side. So for rectangle 2, I have an 8 by 6. And the area of that would be 48. All right, moving down my list here, I have my rectangle 3, and I see the 4 here. So that means this is 4 over there, and this 8 is going to be carried down. So all of those are an 8 because that top one, those are all the same. So that means rectangle 3 is a 4 by 8 again, so it's congruent with that top one. So I have another 32. All right, now I have a 4th face down here on the bottom, and I have another 6 by 8 or 8 by 6. All right, so this, what we just did, that was our lateral area. Okay. So I'm going to highlight all of this. Okay, so this was all that was our lateral area, because this is going to be our base. This is a base, and this one over here is a base. Okay, so we have two bases, two parallel congruent bases, and then we also have our lateral area, which is everything else. So the reason I mention that is because I see this box here that says, what is your lateral area? So to find lateral area, we are going to add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. We're going to add those 4 together. So lateral area. We're going to add those all up at some point. Okay, let's finish up though with our workspace on our rectangle 5. Let's see, I don't have a dimension here, so I'm going to go over here and I see that this is 4, and I know they're congruent, so this is going to be 4. Alright, so I have a 6 by 4 for the base, and the bases have to be, you know, congruent and parallel, so they are the same. So the 6 I could carry over here, and then you can see that is a 6 by 4. Alright, and 6 by 4 is 24. Alright, so the lateral area is what we shaded in with the green, and that was all the faces but the base. So I need to add 32 plus 48 plus 32 plus 48. When I do that, I should be in the same color. So in red, 160. 160 centimeters squared is our lateral area. So surface area is all faces, even the base. Okay, a base is a face. Alright, so all faces. Alright, so when I add up all of my numbers, I would get the 208 centimeters squared. Sorry, I can't write well with this pen. Okay, so that is what I get for the total area when I add up all 6 of them. All right, what'd you think? Okay, we're going to try out another one, work it through, and talk about the same vocabulary words. Okay, first question says, what is the name of this? So name this solid. On this one, I see some triangles going on. Okay, so that is my base. If the base is a triangle, I know I'm dealing with a triangular solid. Triangular. And since, again, we have that congruent parallel base right here, so I have another base, I have a prism. Remember, if it was a pyramid, it would only have one base. All right, so I went ahead and numbered them without you, so get those jotted down. I numbered them 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5 for the triangles. And I crossed out side because those are actually faces. A side would just be, well, I guess they call them an edge, but so anyway, I just thought that was kind of a confusing word for that. Okay. Oh goodness, we had to find the area of all of these shapes again. So this is a net. That would, if I folded it up, I would make that. Okay, so it's a net for this solid. Alright, so if I want to find the surface area, I find all of the areas. Alright, so starting with number 1, I have a 4 by 6 rectangle. Do you see that? 4 by 6 rectangle. Alright, for number 2, well, it looks pretty much the same because I have another 4 by 6 rectangle. And then number 3 doesn't have any dimensions, but we know the 6 carries over to all of them. And if this is a 4, that means this is a 4, this is a 4, this is a 4. Okay, so all of those are going to be the same for it to, you know, line up just perfect. Okay, so it's going to be a 4 by 6 as well. All right, and we know 4 by 6 to equal 24. And let's add our label. Oh, we don't have any units, so we'll just write unit squared. Okay. All right. Up top, we talked about the word lateral. Okay, lateral faces are all of the faces that are not a base. So these 3 rectangles, that is our lateral area. Okay, all of the faces that are not a base. So lateral area is 1 plus 2 plus 3. And if I take 24 times 3, is that 72? Okay, so now we have our lateral area taken care of. Now let's look at our base and our other base. And those are both triangles, so we have to do a little bit different formula. Remember, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, we got to divide it into 2 because triangle is only half of a rectangle. All right, so our height is 3 and our base is 4. So 3 times 4 divided by 2. So half of 12 is 6. Same thing for this. 3 times 4 divided by 2 is 6. So surface area is going to be all faces. So lateral plus those bottom 12 would give me 84 units squared. But notice that our units are still squared. A lot of people, when they think, oh, I'm working with a solid, I need to do cubed. Well, when we're doing surface area, we're just finding the 2-dimensional area, so that is why it's only squared. We use the cube for volume. So volume is when you have units, cubed. So that's why today we only put a square. Okay, so just a little side note to remember from yesterday. All right, hope this made a little bit of sense, and we'll talk more about it in class and look at some of those fun nets that we have for our solids. All right, thank you.